So, Miss Zozibini Tunzi, if I say her last name right, but Miss Zozibini has become the Miss Universe of South Africa. And South Africa has this pageant that happens every year where, a bunch of these European women and so on and so forth enter into these pageants where they become Miss Universe or Miss South Africa, so on and so forth. It's not just in South Africa, it's in other countries within Africa. Anybody knows about these particular pageants, they are ran by Europeans. They are not ran by African men or women or people for that, fact. So all these people were up in arms and congratulating Miss Zozibini for winning Miss Universe. And people were sharing the particular video concerning her speech, concerning, what it meant to her for her to win this pageant. And let's watch this.
I grew up in a world where a woman who looks like me, with my kind of skin and my kind of hair, was never considered to be beautiful. And I think that it is time that that stops today. I want children to look at me and see my face, and I want them to see their faces reflected in mine. Thank you.
Beautiful speech, right? Beautiful. And then you have the pro-black folk. Went to her page, scrolled down her page, wasn't really much of a scroll, and without any form of evidence or research, they took her picture that she took with her pageant coach, Mr. Werner, I think I said his name right, Werner Wessels, and just started going berserk. And everybody was just going, she's a bad wench. She's dating a white man, this, that, and the third, right? Which would be a quote-unquote typical, I guess a typical thing to say concerning people who are in the spotlight or celebrities, so on and so forth. And without anybody doing any form of research or evidence, all of a sudden, all these people are going by something propagated that wasn't even, the context wasn't even there to begin with. Nobody did any form of evidence. They just received whatever a particular following, whether it's big or small, whether it's somebody that they're more familiar with or somebody that they like. If somebody that they like, says that, oh yeah, she's dating a bad wench, all of a sudden you take that in without doing the form of evidence or even asking yourself, is this true? Who is this man? Where did this come from? What part does he play in her life? So on and so forth. That's what I did. I didn't take it immediately because I didn't really see the body language of them being together, so on and so forth. So I was like, well, who is this guy? That's the first thing I asked. Well, who is this guy that y'all are saying that she is dating? So I looked him up, and I found out that he's a pageant coach. It's in his bio. He is a pageant coach. And I'm like, okay, so he's a pageant coach. And he's not just taking pictures with her. He's taking pictures with people that he trains. It's on his page. People that he trains, he takes pictures with them. And, he makes these captions talking about, how wonderful they are, this, that, and the third. And, how long he's been training with them and this, that. So you see this in the comments. You see this in the captions. And you can obviously tell he's a bit, little bit, got a little sugar in his tank.
Video with Werner Wessels.
Hello.
Where we will be on.
Lekker om eindelijk jou hier te hê.
Dit is so lekker om hier. I'm gonna poke you in the eye.
I'll stop you before you do.
Is ek reg? Is ek reg?
Yep.
I'm just saying. And see, when I found out about this information, I was telling people, like, yo, don't be spreading this propaganda. This makes us look bad. Okay, my bad. As I was saying, I was telling pro-black people, like, when I was looking at their content and they would make a post about her and saying that she's a bad wench, I'd be like, no, she's not a bad wench. The particular man that she is taking a picture with is a pageant coach. That's her pageant coach, and he helped her along the way to get to where she is now, right? So I was telling certain people this, and they was getting, oh, okay, you know, my bad, so on and so forth. And then I ran across one particular page, and they was talking about bed wenches this morning. And so I was like, no, that's her pageant coach. And the man isn't straight, you know, he's a bit on the other side. And I had this particular argument going on where people didn't care about the valid information, putting out valid information. It was more of her having the association with the particular man. So the argument basically went on like, well, it doesn't matter because she's still associating with that white man. You know, it doesn't matter because she is in a European institution of, you know, beauty standards, so on and so forth, and she entered into this European pageant. And this is how pro-blacks on social media portray themselves. You know, anything concerning something that is institutionalized, by Europeans, totally bad. And I understand this very perception, and we're going to deal with that in a second. But let's deal with putting out good information first. Let's deal with being accurate with our information, you know, because when you spread propaganda, you are being no better than the European. We're good on that? If you are spreading propaganda, if you are spreading information that's not true, you are being no better than the person that you are trying to be against. But when dealing with this form of information, I'm trying to tell them that this form of information, this is misleading people. And somebody, you know, was like, well, the way you've defended them, it almost seems like you want to be on their side. It almost seems like you're defending them. And this is a problem, one of the main problems I have with particular pro-black people. You know, this is one of the reasons why I don't classify as pro-black. But, you know, one of the main problems that I have with pro-black people is that, you know, we're willing to be gullible. You know, we like to make fun of the sheeple people, but we're sheeple ourselves. You know, when somebody tries to correct you, you know, you immediately want to accuse them of being on the other person's side when they're trying to give you insight. When dealing with the information, you know, that gets really out of line. This is why I always tell people to do their own research. Even with me, never take anything that I have to say. You know, if you are unsure of something, you know, even if you don't have the full grasp of knowledge or understanding of what I bring to the table, you know, ask questions. Always ask questions, because it may lead you to the right path. It may lead you to the right form of information. So when dealing with the institutions, you know, we have to be reasonable. You know what I'm saying? We have to be reasonable as people, because you have people out here who will literally go up in arms with somebody. You know, let's say, for an example, some black man, he gets an award in school. You know, he gets an award in school. My God, straight A's, this, that, and the third. This pro-black man or woman comes out of the woodworks and says, oh, nah, we shouldn't be celebrating this because he's being praised in a European institution of a school system that, you know, takes down black men and women and, you know, indoctrinates them, so on and so forth. You know, and you want to take all that away, you know, just from the accomplishment that this particular black man or woman or boy or girl is accomplishing. You see what I'm saying? And we have to be reasonable. We have to understand what type of predicament we are in as a people. We have to understand how these institutions play a hand, you know, concerning who we are as African people. We have to understand how these institutions and these systems are played, you know, and what goes on in these institutions before we immediately go to the conclusion that this is something bad for us. And I'm not saying whether you should or you shouldn't praise this, because I wasn't going to talk about this in general. I do understand the perception that when dealing with black women who enter these pageants, you know, and the judges are European, and so they pick, you know, who decides to go further, you know, or who wins. At the same time, this should not be an opportunity to downgrade or demean or bash or slander or insult the particular black men or women who, you know, gain these accomplishments or these rewards. In this situation, This should not be an opportunity to insult and slander and take down or tear down black women or African women. They're the same thing. I mean, you want to talk about the Europeans, but you acting just like the European doing that. Especially if you have African women out here who are not on your level. You know what I'm saying? You're so arrogant to the point where you're only willing to associate with people who think like you. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a circle or a particular area where you associate with people who think like you. You know, when it comes to unification, you should. You know, when it comes to organizations, you should associate with people and be with people who think like you. But when it comes to the truth and information and reaching out to your people, you need to have a form of, you know, persona where you can communicate with other people, where people can understand where you're coming from. You know, you shouldn't be coming to them like the Pharisees. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be coming to them, you know, all up and on and great. You know, and as soon as they say some coonish stuff, you immediately want to call them a coon. You immediately want to cast them off. And that's not helping our predicament. This is one of the main reasons why I cannot stand pro-black people, because of situations like this, you know. And it just makes people like me who stand up for our people look bad, you know. Even if I don't classify as pro-black, my page that's what it personifies, is pro-blackness, you know. So it really makes people like me look bad. So I wanted to use my voice and speak on this very issue, you know, that we have to do better concerning how we spread information, how we grasp information, and how we as a people associate with people who may not be on our level. We have to understand, even Malcolm X said this, that you do not condemn or shame people, you know, who don't think like you, because at one point you used to think like them. At one point you used to associate with them white people. You used to, you know, in some cases you used to bed with. In some cases you used to be in these institutions. Some of us, we still quote unquote pro-black, and we still in these institutions. That's all the time that I have for right now. That's all I wanted to say. Miss Universe, you know, congratulations, you know, to you winning, you know, the pageant and so on and so forth. Don't listen to the critics and so on and so forth of these particular pro-blacks. Till next time, I'm Tyrone. Thank you for watching this video. Like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Comment below about how you feel about what I say. If you like what I say, if you don't like what I say, let me know in the comment section below. Check out my clothing line business. Also check out my business, which have my clothing line business, so just check out that as well. Until next time, I'm Tyrone, and I am